Jontron.
So, Jontron, you've probably heard of him, especially since his flex tape video. While not the most popular YouTuber, I think it's safe to say that everyone has at least heard of him. If you ask anyone, they'll probably say, yeah, I think I've heard of him, or who, the racist? But we'll get to that later. While he still makes relatively decent videos nowadays, I think it's safe to say that his earlier content was incredibly enjoyable and houses some of his most viewed videos. But enough dancing around the subject. Let's get into the real meat of this and how Jontron came to be. So, Jontron, or Jonathan Arian? Okay. Jonathan Arian Safari was born on March 24th, 1990 in Rancho Palos Verdes, California. From 2004 to 2008, he attended the Palos Verdes Peninsula High School, where, incidentally, he met Gerard Khalil, also known as the Completionist, and Barry Kramer, the first editor for Game Grumps. During this time, on September 24th, 2003, John made a Newgrounds account where he uploaded animations of yellow onions. One of these movies is called Onianis and the Gang, but I'm not going to knock 13-year-old John for this. Everybody had to start somewhere, I guess. About 6 years later, he created a YouTube channel under the same name, Birdman XZ6. However, that is lost to time. Big time jump, we crash into 2010, where Jontron uploads some videos onto ScrewAttack.com, where he also met Austin Hargrave, aka Peanut Butter Gamer. Most likely around the same time, Jontron creates the channel we all know and love, Jontron, originally going to be called Jontron 2.0. Here, he would upload such classics like his Daikatana review and top 10 boss battles. And who could forget Joe and Mac retrospective? Anyways, later that year, John and PBG would create the group known as Normal Boots, which would grow in popularity later down the line. Normal Boots was created so that John and PBG could upload their content and also relieve advertisement revenue. Soon after the conception of such an idea, Indie Game Searchlight and Cold Morning joined in on the fun. Later still, in June 2011, Continue joined, and in August of the same year, Underbelly joined. One more, in November of the same year, The Completionist joined. Unfortunately, in October 2011, Cold Morning left, and in June of 2012, Underbelly left. However, there is an upside to this. Did You Know Gaming joined in July of 2012. After Normal Boots' conception, Jontron on February 4th, 2011 would upload his famous Dino City review.
Dino City! Show you a game.
Now, if I just remember how to play this thing... no, not on the PS3. That's a silly thing it'd be on the 2. Let's just put it on the PC tray, see what happens. Well, that's unfortunate. The DS usually cannot play a game, so... Oh, it is a done deal. It's the wireless router. This has not worked. Dishwasher. Oh.
Aaron, who grew quite fond of this review, messaged John, and the two eventually became close friends. Come July 2012, incidentally the same year Did You Know Gaming joined, John and Aaron announced that they would be starting a Let's Play channel called Game Grumps. On July 18th, 2012, Jontron would upload a video on his main account, Jontron, talking about his newest channel, and on the same day, the first episode of Game Grumps was uploaded. Things seemed great, but come November 12th, the Normal Boots site had to be closed since Google's AdSense program offered better moolah making options. Once again, everything seemed fine. Aaron and John were having a great time on Game Grumps, minus a few N-words.
I put a hole in that!
It would be so funny, John.
I put a hole in that!
And Normal Boots was chugging along just fine. However, that fateful day, June 25th, 2013, it was announced that John had left Game Grumps. According to John left in order to focus on his main channel, Jontron. His first video since leaving Game Grumps was his Hercules Games review, garnering over 20 million views. He would continue to upload to his main channel, and on January 24th, 2014, Normal Boots was relaunched so that the members could, quote, upload videos that weren't YouTube friendly, end quote. Everybody in Normal Boots, apart from Indie Game Searchlight, came back, along with Satchel Drakes and Bro Jared. Ugh. I feel like just saying his name will summon him from a bubbling green cauldron to wreak more havoc. Afterwards, he would do various collabs with James Rolfe, the Gregory Brothers, Film Theory, and even did some voice work for Digino Gaming. However, there was a prophecy. Long after the bombshells of Rubber Ross and Pro Jared, Jared spoke of a dreadful day in the near future. Nobody believed him. However, it was known as the beginning of the end for Jontron.
Alright, so just to kind of get this out of the way, I want to let it be known that Jontron is probably one of my favorite YouTubers of all time. And even though he is, held in pretty high regard in my mind as a YouTuber, that does not protect him from all criticism. So, without further ado, here we go. Now, when talking about Jontron, I would say his golden era was between the years of 2014 to 2016. So many classic videos were made in this time frame, and if you played any one of these videos for me, I would know and be able to repeat pretty much quotes from any of these videos, simply because of how memorable and funny they were. You've got the Pokemon bootlegs video, you've got the food fight video, Titanic, anti-drug games, plug-and-play consoles. Like, I would genuinely be here for hours if I just wanted to talk about how many great videos and moments spawned from this era, as well as the blossoming friendship of John and Ethan Klein from H3H3 Productions, which would result in an environment where both of them flourished, making some of their greatest content. And looking back doing research for this, it's honestly sad to go back and watch the H3 podcast episode with John, seeing how entertaining Ethan can, or, well, could be, but that's for another video. Basically, they were thriving. Within this period of time, in my opinion, there is one outlier series that I feel like would become reminiscent of the changing direction of the Jontron channel, and that, my friends, is Starrcade. On May 4th, 2015, Jontron released the trailer video for Starrcade, a review series focused on Star Wars related games and, well, other Star Wars related stuff.
Jar Jar's Jar Jar Jar. Oh, here he goes. He's gonna get it. He's gonna get it this time. Poor little guy, he can never get that jar open.
With production value at levels never seen before on the channel, Jontron was given the opportunity, presumably by Disney or one of their subsidiaries, to write, direct, and produce Starrcade. And judging from the production value of even just the first episode, there had to be some big money behind this. And it was really good. The episodes take you on a journey through the Star Wars world, with a bit of a Jontron spin, and while my alluding to this may have made it seem like I wasn't a fan, that's truly not the case. The changing direction wasn't the deterioration of the content. It was the focus on production value. No longer was it John, in his living room, just reviewing a shitty piece of media. It was sets, production crews, large budgets, and while this is certainly not a bad thing on its own, when the objective becomes the production value, the soul of what makes art beautiful can often be lost. But I'm getting ahead of myself, because with Starrcade, this wasn't the case. It had all the beautiful Jontron flair, with funny quotes, and a memorable storyline with the reunion of John and Aaron Hansen. This truly was his golden era, but that wouldn't last for long. Coming off the heels of the 2016 election, John became increasingly more vocal about his political takes on Twitter, eventually leading to a 5-hour live stream with Sargon of Akkad. And yes, I watched it all, and it basically boils down to a circle jerk of white fragility and screeching about SJWs.
I really hope that a gang of people go down there and just chant "Normies get out, read." Is that the real Total Biscuit?
That's the real Total Biscuit here.
How's it going, man? You realize you're going to get banned from everything now, right?
Yeah, Twitter.
Granted, yeah, this was fucking 2016 or whatever, so I guess it's kind of to be expected. And an even deeper rabbit hole with this guy. But once again, that's for another video. Now, one comment I read said this.
I decided to listen to this to see if people's criticisms of John were even remotely correct. After listening to the entire thing, I can safely say that I doubt those people even listened to any of this cherry-picked out of context quotes they heard to make John look bad. I swear, SJWs will do anything to make people they disagree with look bad.
Now, I don't use out-of-context clips to end his career. I do it because they're funny.
Do you think Sweden is falling apart right now under mass rioting and burning down of...
You ever heard of boiling the frog slowly? Doesn't notice.
I mean...
And really, even with the context, they still aren't great. And you already don't understand how painful listening to Sargon and John bitch for 5 hours was. The fucking German guy who made a Nazi joke was somehow the most sensible one in the call.
With me, it's gonna be a nuclear holocaust, if you know what I mean.
The worst thing is he's in Germany, so like, don't even talk about Holocaust.
Like, some unhinged shit was said here. Relating welfare to funneling money from whites to blacks.
Take something from white people? Are you going to give it, Robin Hood it to other people? Don't we already kind of do that? Isn't that called welfare? Like, what do you want?
A long rant about Papua New Guinea.
A valid culture, but like white Americans, what culture? Fuck this.
How much do you know about Papua New Guinea? Because
I mean,
I could seriously red pill you on how awful their culture is.
Well, I know that those tribal cultures are absolutely barbaric and all that.
Something about half of women don't support women's rights.
Like this kind of thing, and it was like, but not all women are the same. Not all women agree with you, or even abortion. Because if they say, are you not supporting women's reproductive rights? I'm like, 50% of women don't support women's reproductive rights. You fucking tard.
Comparing the SJWs of 2017 to Sharia law.
Yeah, it doesn't. No, we have submitted. We've submitted to this. It's like fucking secular Sharia law. For fuck's sake.
And fuck, man, I'm going to be here all fucking day if I go over all the schizo shit said in this call. Listen, I'm all down for a fucking schizo conversation, but when it's boring and schizo, that's when you've got a fucking problem. So, this isn't a great look, but the backlash hadn't gotten completely out of hand yet. But fuck was that all about to change come March 13th, 2017. The Destiny stream. The discussion was centered around immigration and assimilation, but it quickly devolved into claims by John that rich blacks commit more crime than poor whites.
They do. Wealthy blacks also commit more crime than poor whites. That's a fact.
Wait, what?
Yeah, look it up.
Oh, and he also named 5 countries in Africa, so that's pretty cool.
What? I'm not like, can you name 5 countries in Africa?
Yeah, of course I can name 5 countries in Africa. South Africa, Ethiopia, Zimbabwe, Nigeria, Zaire.
The stark difference of this debate in the podcast he did with Sargon is he actually talked to someone who wasn't a smooth-brained nationalist or unhinged German sociologist. So he kept backing himself into corners, and then freaking out about being caught in a gotcha moment by Destiny. Outside an echo chamber, none of John's claims held any weight, and left the call being completely humiliated.
Rip my career. Alright, see you guys.
See you later.
Alright, see you.
Regurgitating Tucker Carlson and PragerU talking points will only get you so far, and with some of the absurd shit said in this call, it would only be a matter of time before it caught up to him.
My dad is Persian, my mom is Hungarian. I'm not even 100% white. A nation is supposed to be a people that are all bound by at least culture, if not genetics or whatever you want to say. So,
like that's
okay, but there's people who are like 18 years old who are committing a disproportionate amount of crime, and they were born after me. So how do you explain that? Is that Jim Crow?
How? If you point out a problem, the right is so quick to go, well, hold on, you're turning us all against it. Well, no, we're just acknowledging a problem, and now we need to fix it.
I would argue that... I don't know. I don't want to get...
These were less than humans. These people were treated horribly. They were not seen as Americans or even white people. They were called reverse Negros.
Maybe they were a bunch of dicks, huh? Absolute disproportionate amount of crime committed to whites by non-whites. That's there's no arguing that. That's just FBI statistics. young black males. Or
Okay, what's the problem?
Look, you can speak flowery language about all this stuff.
How do you
I
explain
feel
things like the
I feel
voter ID laws in North Carolina, or how do you?
Bro, what? Voter ID laws in North Carolina? Get out of here with that.
What?
Alright,
Get out of
dude.
here with what?
I think if this were 1850, we wouldn't be using tweets.
Honestly, I would be happier to fight them because they're incredibly good.
Let me just say this on Jontron on neo-Nazis for a moment. I think that the left especially has been using this KKK neo-Nazi thing for decades now. This as if they had any sort of power. I don't think these. Do they even get together for beers on Sunday? I've never even, like, how many neo-Nazis honestly are there out there? Like 10? Like, well, I can't talking this. I really grew up as a little yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I think probably kind of I might just be right of center. Like, I think that looking at entertainment being anywhere, even center. So, but I'll tell you, I think it was probably more just what time period we're living in. Well, we capitulated. We're like Neil Chamberlain. Hitler's over there fucking taking over countries. It's like, maybe that's no, yeah.
Sometime after the month Jontron took an out of Destiny, the game company Playtonic decided to remove Jontron's appearance as a cameo. Not that cameo.
Fire sexy milk.
Voice actor in their upcoming game Yooka-Laylee, an indie game which is meant to spiritually succeed off the N64 Classic 2 game hit series of Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie, a game series that Jontron had based most of his favorable opinions to. He was going to be a porta-potty talking like... In a review with the highly prestigious Game Industry's Biz, authored by Christopher Dring, the unsavory viewpoints posed by John featured in this debate between John and Destiny seem to be directly responsible, or at least the catalyst event which led to Playtonic cutting ties with Jontron on account of the racism. The language used by Playtonic in their statement that Game Industries requested about the situation is very indirect, but there is little doubt about what comments Playtonic is referring to.
Japan is one of the most racist fucking countries in the world.
I
Do you
mean,
want to
this
be
word
like
racist.
Japan?
This word racist, what does it mean?
Especially when combined with John's since deleted Twitter history, as currently his last available post on the Jontron Twitter was from October 2017. Video games are integral to Jontron's identity. From the 9-part Starrcade series to his cheesy top 10 variety videos. More than any other franchise, John is very partial to the rare classic that Yooka-Laylee is based off of, Banjo-Kazooie, as Playtonic is made up of former Rareware members for the sole purpose of designing a successor to the Banjo-Kazooie series. The outrage from certain gamer-like Jontron fans and his favored claim that Playtonic Studios had no right to censor/remove Jontron's cameo appearance, and censorship is bad and all, but sorry John, I don't think it is ethically okay to act on a view of the world that is as unbased and great replacement theory-like as my boy Tucker, using the classic anti-SJW rhetoric versioning in the ripe year of 2017. People like No Bullshit and H3H3 think this situation is forgivable through the lens of free speech and anti-censorship. Now, Ethan has been known to look past the content of some crimes in order to keep the valuable friendship Ethan possesses, but No Bullshit, he is widely regarded as one of the worst debate tubers. So basically, John has a couple of knuckleheads rooting for him. And should a talented voice actor be discredited just by the view of the world and the scope of their actions? Well, yeah, for sure, if the pattern of misbehavior is evident of a clear need for change, that change should be met if they can as an individual, for the benefit of the greater community, especially with the help of said community, and also because Jontron benefits a lot from the community, and it seems like a fair trade. In Playtonic's case, I believe they were justified in dropping Jontron as he was spreading information, and not only were the debates very unflattering, but John's apology afterwards is so meek on the H3 podcast he doesn't even specifically address anything but his unpreparedness to debate, and denouncing the vague concept of racism and Nazism.
And I guess my question is, because I don't want to get too deep into it because this is a fun, lighthearted time. I don't want to debate anything.
Because I haven't talked about it since then, for good reason. I don't really want to get into this. that, yeah, in that moment, I was, you know, going into something that I needed a lot more time to prep for. I just went in guns blazing because I, you know, you get a little arrogant sometimes, I guess. You think, like, I'm going to take this guy to task. But, you know, like, obviously I understand, like, why people had the reaction that they did. It's not as if, you know, I look back at some of that and I'm like, why the fuck did I say that? Like, this is no matter what, right or wrong, this is a fucking bad look there. You know, I'm aware of that. Yeah, it's pretty simple. Like, I'm not really going to get into it. But, oh, yeah, I guess the main question on everyone's mind is, oh, is he a racist? Is he a Nazi? Simple answer, and this is what everyone wants. I mean, you know, no. I treat every single person with the same respect they afford me.
Which, like, fair, but if you can't get into the specifics of it, then I just feel like you're probably never fit to continue talking about politics, which unfortunately he can't help but do, especially on Twitter. That just further proves that the fear of fervent war has seeded his ideas into part of your mind that not even you want to see if your unprepared thoughts happen to be based only on fallacies with the roots of racism. And in this case, even though the controversy took place in no way with the Yooka-Laylee project, it still doesn't flatter the intelligence of an anti-racism fellow, most Americans, and especially if they're a longtime viewer. On closer inspection of John's fanbase demographic, it clearly defines itself as having both anti-SJW radical niche type of viewers and a sort of vague nerd type that likes video games, 90s stuff, Star Wars, etc. But both of these parties liked John's slapstick and wordplay humor. That's nice that they come together in the end, isn't it? And they took notice and wanted to see Jontron's cameo role because of his YouTuber relationship with the banjo and kazooie scene. But sadly, the fame of personality that Jontron had used to score a cameo on Yooka-Laylee had turned to infamy that cost him the very same cameo. If only John had stuck to gaming! I am a longtime viewer of Jontron, and I didn't investigate the severity of this controversy, which I thought I was very up-to-date about. I didn't know that Platonic dropping Jontron was indicative of a more mature shortcoming Jontron harbors. Ari the Legend bought Yooka-Laylee around release back in 2017, and that's when I heard that Jontron was cut from the game. Only 4 years later did I watch the Destiny vs. Jontron debate, and only then did I realize that I had based my perception of John completely independently from his political stance. I mean, don't get me wrong, there is always a very not educated vibe I got from Jontron, but as a youth, I tried to see that as a quality of a free-thinking mindset. And whoops, sorry about that. It's not true. I feel there are two types of naive, young Jontron viewers that kinda align respectively with the SJW versus 90s nerd crowd. One type was very invested in the situation and went to great lengths to defend his position during the controversy, while the other attempted to remain ignorant about political dramatization, only to feel regret for not understanding the problem until later. I am definitely the latter of the two. And it is these two ignorant parties that John and his team were remarkably able to show a maintained and managed image of Jontron in a way that satisfied both demographics. Whenever he slips up, his Twitter is cleaned. I'm guessing this is by his eccentric team who must be the geniuses keeping this goddamn boat afloat and saving Jontron from getting full-on cancelled on YouTube. So viewers who are either new or returning and simply didn't read into controversies as they transpire are able to continue enjoying Jontron's show. Of course, because they do not imagine that John Jafari is the epitome of poor government policy think tank strats. His YouTube has managed to almost never include John's political or worldviews, and in the occasion that he does, the video is often privated. Just like the 2013 N-word video among many others like it. But the controversial momentum from the Yooka-Laylee and Destiny storm was just the kind of fire that Jontron show needed to strike it big again. The most well-known topic presented on the Jontron show is definitely, drumroll please, Phil Swift's Flex Tape, a line of products and funny infomercials. Yay! The Flex Tape video dropping was one of the only Jontron videos I've seen, and I know my friends and cousins have all seen it too. It's a good, clean, family-friendly video after all, and it forever changes the direction of the Jontron show from just games and sometimes movies or shows, springing into full-on multimedia commentary from the epic Soulja Boy console to the stupid-ass workout videos that are not my favorite. But it is also the continuation of the dark Twitter Jontron era. So dark that most of everything until 2019 is deleted because it was just that much of a bozocracy. I personally believe that the humor and presentation in the Flex Tape video land very well without being mean-spirited towards the man of the hour, Phil Swift. What a great guy. I still follow him on Instagram, by the way. God, get out of here. Their business relationship was so strong that Jontron made a Flex Tape video sequel featuring a lead role by Mr. Swift, where Mr. Swift plays himself, Mr. Swift. Economically and publicity-wise, this is Jontron's sunshine and rainbows. Heyday, golden era if you will. But it was so much presentational bliss occurring intermittently with the most silly set of Twitter takes I can even imagine. Because based off the new shit, I can only imagine how horrid his timeline was before the rapture. But most people remember the memes produced by this piece of art, and they were shot far and wide, straight through the niche and into the mainstream. Lots of, I blanked this blank in half formatted funnies, or it even works underwater underhand utterages.
To show you the power of Flex Tape, I saw this boat in half.
Phil, what does that have to do with tape? You're not okay. I want to tell me how the fuck. What does that got to do with Flex Tape?
Now to me, Jontron is simply known as the washed-up older YouTuber who can't stop spewing bad takes and turning trendy American topics to yield for the masses. But hey, he made the Flex Tape video, so he's pretty cool. His legacy has been fed to his loving team, and his personality was flushed down the gutter, leaving the only means of survival in the production quality of his videos, which are obviously far more uniform than they used to be in set design, video structure, and direction of humor. And they also just have a lot of money and seem to use it wisely as a team. So good again on the Jontron show team. They killed the aesthetic of old Jontron and kept the old man rotting in his New York-inspired living room gamer set, doomed to forever talk about a variety of different pop culture topics. I like the Gwyneth Paltrow video, and most of the rest of the video catalog are chock full of bangers produced by the Jontron show. Yes, from the controversy to modern day, it's still been mostly bangers on YouTube that I would rewatch. But there's also more Shadow Raid Legends ads than ever. And the you will literally not recover from watching this video, which is mostly an ad. No, it is literally just an ad starring Jontron and his amazing production team. Like, get real. It is sad to see, but it's hard not to see it coming when you've been caught saying the N-word for entertainment, and when you can't form arguments that have deeper evidence than a news headline from the internet. It's suddenly easy to see the journey culminating in literal hours of truly racist debate. But still, it was a journey I often feared I would go on as a gamer child, and I'm grateful that I do not subscribe to the rich blacks commit more crime than poor whites set of rhetoric because that's fucking stupid. Despite having grown up with it right underneath me and my friends' noses, with shady characters like Jontron running their mouths. And I think that it's beautiful, you know? Do I cringe and roll my eyes anytime I see anything Jontron related? Yeah. Am I still hyped to see the next YouTube video to come out? Well, less and less so, but more so than any other honestly, publicly, politically stupid person I know of. I will watch Jontron because his videos are rarely about politics. They're just bad if they are about politics. The jokes are getting kinda stale though. Like on John's YouTube, everything is executed too perfectly and without drama, which is a shame because we all know what villainy he could be spewing on YouTube, but instead he chooses not to stir the pot with his massive, attractive, and downright idiotic stirring stick. And there's only so many times I can laugh at man sits on couch, says things set up, then show funny clip, then Jontron say funny punchline while also sitting on couch. Unless it's not, then it's just like a showcase of the team's practical effects. So again, go team. John is kinda like a Dream from Minecraft, because he is easy to predict, and wears a proverbial mask over his beliefs. It happens rarely on YouTube, but I love to see John without his mask, because with it on I genuinely feel that his bad takes on society won't be challenged in a meaningful way. He hides his true identity by simply avoiding certain topics that he knows he can't afford to talk about, because he doesn't know how to listen and care for his debate partner / audience. And for the art of debate as a whole, remember, debate is about truth. It's not a race to be correct with the opinion you brought into the debate. It is to choose the correct belief, often by combining different portions of each party's sets of reasoning. But sometimes John's full argument is just fucking horrid baloney, so, you know, maybe don't listen to him all the time. I don't even think John realizes that that is his problem. I think that he just thinks that he worded it wrong, but I know that he is just susceptible to internalizing misinformation out of the small amount of unchecked malice in his heart.
I mean, do you feel like you said some things that you regret?
Yeah, I could have phrased a lot of that better.
A good example of this phenomenon can be found on any one of John's tweets. John is rude, inflammatory, standoffish, but always just plain wrong. The Anthony Fauci Beagle experiment controversy, a story designed to stretch Fauci's medical institute into his supposedly evil organization that mutilated test subject dogs' vocal cords. And also they claimed that he was connected to an experiment, I suppose you could call it, where dogs got bitten by many sandflies while having their heads constricted to a cage. These weird experiments were both tweeted by John in an attempt to slander Dr. Fauci's credibility and the vaccine's credibility. Where the former is true, but is far more ethical than the letter written by Congresswoman Nancy Mace of Maryland made it out to be. She seems to be the one who wrote the original complaint toward Fauci, by the way. Removing the vocal cords of the beagles happens, but it is necessary to keep the noise levels below the maximum number of decibels enforced by OSHA in a workspace for both the laboratory staff and the laboratory labs, or beagles, so it's more like neutering or spaying a cat. And personally, I am more concerned about animal testing as a whole, but that is something I haven't researched much, so I don't know. I'm not gonna run my goddamn mouth like Jontron. And while the latter apparently did happen, it was not funded by the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, NIAID, which is the organization that Fauci was managing at the time. So no, those are both scary headlines, but nothing more than hearsay to dissuade the public's trust in Fauci, and more broadly the government and media and whatnot. A conspiracy that will only benefit John through clout, but not through the content of his policies. But it would definitely benefit people who want to see chaos and depravity intertwined with our society, or those who benefit off of it. So, is that the kind of person you want to be, Jontron? Do you want to be known as a doo-doo head? Huh? Huh? Last I saw, he was making a KFC video that was surprisingly funny, and the one with the internet historian, which was good, but also a bit awkward. It felt like John still doesn't have any confidence talking about any of his controversies, even when it's as silly as your middle name being Aryan or whatever it was, John Aryan Jafari. Like, he sounds traumatized whenever the race card walks into the room. It is sad. Also, the AI video by John just came out, and it was pretty good, but not memorable. Very clean. I thought it was sanitized, and I don't know. It was just the epitome of what I've been talking about, I guess. That is where we are today. So, to end the video, I will share my favorite Jontron moment. when he was like plugging and playing on the game, Philip, and he was like, it's awful, it's all fucking awful, every last one of them sucks. And then he's like, horrible area, you got that right. And who could forget table tennis, fucking Pong? Thank you.